Hello. So for today's prompt for the Neopagan November challenge, we have power. The first thing that I thought about was how to put more power into spells, workings, rituals. But I didn't really want to talk about that. And as I explored this subject a little further, I thought, why don't I just talk about what power means to me and how important it is, as well as maybe like a little personal experience. And I think that's actually where I'm going to start. When I was about 7, I'm not quite sure if I could have been anywhere between the ages of 5 and 8 when the first dream occurred. But I had a series of recurring dreams where I would get into fights. And they were physical fights where there was like punching, kicking, physical fighting involved. And I don't remember why I began having these or if it was like provoked by anything. I didn't get into a fight in school, so it wasn't like that. But I had this dream where I got into a fight and I was like ready to fight. And when I would throw punches or blows, I would put so much force and power into these punches. And as they were going to come into contact with the target, it's like if it was punching a cloud, or it was like the ultimate, for me at that time, the best way to describe it, it was like the ultimate way to describe what weakness was. Like trying your damn hardest to make some kind of an impact or to harm something that was attacking you. And then upon getting so close to causing that damage, it was like this, like a brush, like it wasn't effective at all. And I hated having those dreams because they made me feel powerless. I would not be able to protect myself. And that's how, it made me feel. So obviously that doesn't feel great. And I remember having those dreams throughout my childhood. And then as I got older, the dream would happen, but it was always different in the sense that the foe was never the same. The setting was never the same. The situation was never the same. The only thing that was similar was the fighting aspect and how I felt when I was put into that situation. I kept having these dreams, but they weren't consistent. Like, I think sometimes they would be like years apart. But I always remembered them because it was probably the closest that I came around that time to ever having like some type of a lucid dream, just because I could feel the power behind the punch. Like if I was physically trying to punch somebody with all of my strength, I felt that in the dream, except for the moment, like I said, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but oh well. Like I said, the moment it was about to come in contact with the opponent, it was like it dissipated. Like it was like all the strength and power, 70%, 30%, 0%. It's funny now because that's not the case anymore. But yeah, so like the first few dreams, that was the case. And then as I got older, I would have similar dreams where I was having to fight. And sometimes it was for stupid reasons. Sometimes the fight was like, oh, because some dream about some kid in school getting on my nerves or bullying somebody else, and I got into it, and then we ended up getting into like this fight. And then sometimes it was like a man, sometimes it was a child, sometimes it was a woman. Like it didn't really matter who it was. It was, in my opinion, the most important aspect of these dreams was the fighting portion. So I stopped having most of these dreams as I got older and older, but also the dreams became a lot more, or they became less infuriating. I noticed that as I had more confidence in myself as a person, these dreams became a lot less about being ineffective in a fight versus actually causing damage in a fight. It got to the point where on my 30th birthday, and I'll never forget this because it was really intense. On my 30th birthday, I had a dream. So the night before I was turning 30, I had a dream. And I remember 30 being a big deal, not because, oh my God, I'm getting old. Like, I do not believe in getting old is a curse or a bad thing. I actually really like myself more as I age. And I could really make a whole video about that because I've also become much stronger physically, which is another aspect of power, by the way. But here we go, rambling again. Back to the dreams. So the night before I turned 30, I had a dream where I had to not only fight for my life, but fight for other people's lives. And I had a weapon in hand, which was a blade. I was going through, it was like a house, but it was like, the shape of this house was more of like a tunnel. So it was like you would step into the front door. Then it was like, let's just say the living room. And then there was another door, and it was another room and another door and another room. And it was like that. And I had to fight these entities, monsters, zombies. I don't know what they were. I don't remember feeling scared at all. It's rare for me to feel scared in dreams, though, so I don't know if that's like a theme of my dreams or not. So I was going through these layers of rooms knowing that I had to fight to save these people, and I had a blade in hand, and I was just slaughtering these things left and right. And the last thing in the room, like the last room and the last thing, like the boss level, I guess, is actually somebody in my family. And it was somebody that actually made me feel powerless a lot, especially in my childhood. And I felt that they made the weak parts about me exist. And I had a lot of anger towards that person and resentment towards that person. And that had dissipated as I got older, which is another reason why it was interesting that I had the dream of doing this with this person. And I killed them. And when I killed them, I exited the house. And I remember being drenched in blood and breathing really heavy and just feeling tired. And when I was outside is when I met like all of the people that I had helped save, like some family members and friends. And I remember telling them, like breathing heavily and telling them, I'm so tired. Like, you guys are gonna have to step it up because I'm so tired. Like, I can't continue to kill anymore because I'm so tired. And that was a very symbolic dream for me, for I think the reasons that I mentioned are reason enough. But that's kind of like my little story about power, from feeling very powerless as a child, which isn't too far-fetched because you only have so much autonomy as a child in the first place, right? Mostly, you know, grown-ups are making decisions for you, and they're not consulting you to see what you like or not. They're just pushing you along, right? And as I got older and I was able to make my own decisions, and I was able to grow more confident in myself and like myself, I was also able to see that happen in my dreams. So I went from, you know, causing no damage to being able to actually cause damage to actually fully killing. And that was just like, it seemed like a negative dream to share, but I remember sharing it with my mom and sharing it with a couple other people because it was actually a huge milestone for me. And I really, really, really enjoyed the dream for its symbolism in the way that I expressed it to you. Before I finish the video, I want to say one more thing about power. And that's in regards to continuing to feel powerful. A lot of that comes from small wins, big wins, but also the people that you surround yourself with, and also believing that they are powerful. You know how they say you are the sum of the 5 people that are the closest to you, or something along those lines. I do believe that. So the people that I choose to have as my closest and my inner circle are all people that have qualities that I admire. They all have qualities that I either wish I could have or things that I wish I had more of. And that's probably the most powerful thing, is knowing that I have a very strong set of people around me, despite whether they practice the same things that I practice or not, even though most of them are pretty spiritual. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it. I think I gave you guys a pretty good story there. And I'll see you tomorrow for the next prompt, or maybe later today. I don't know. It really depends how my day shapes out. Have a good one.